lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. It's Saturday night, and of course, the portal is open for business. And I'm not alone here, ladies and gentlemen. I've got my good friend and co-host sitting right here next to me, and he is back. He has got his groove again, the Emperor's New Groove. How you doing, brother?
Stella never lost her groove. Oh, thanks. Hey, Stella never lost her groove, and neither did I.
Oh, I was talking about the Emperor. Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing clothes, though.
We can go with Stella if that's better for you. I don't know. Not sure what direction you want to go with this. But.
Oh, that's funny. Shout out to everybody who asked me how I'm feeling. I'm feeling much better. Now it's just loosening up and getting out. So much better. Hey, you know what I'm excited about?
Do tell. What are you excited about?
You know, I was thinking the other day, I get this little cowlick right here in my beard, right? And so it throws everything off. It, like, turns to the left and then swings back to the right. You know, I found out curling irons work really well to straighten hair.
You're such a princess.
I know.
That curl is kind of what gives it this character,
pretty.
though, you know?
It's pretty. No, it's pretty or straight.
Oh, you straightened it. You actually did this.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was like, hey. I looked at my roommates. Any guys got a girlfriend left curling iron here? And they're like, yeah, here's one. I'm like, well, how'd that work?
Well, there you go.
So, yep, I applied a little heat, and it straightened right out. Isn't that pretty?
It's lovely. As far as long beards go, that's a fine long beard.
Sarah says use a blow dryer.
I guess that'd probably work too. I guess it's the heat, right?
Yeah, the heat, yeah.
And I'm looking, my hair kind of exploded tonight.
Oh, your hair's fine. My gosh. For a guy who says he's not vain.
Well, when did I ever say that?
Well, I don't know. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. If you want to take it back, that's fine with me.
I know I'm not usually too vain, but I like to look my best for all of you guys because, of course, And
he's making fun of me about figuring out what a curling iron's for.
I just would have never. You're kind of the manly man thing. Got that whole lumberjack thing cooking, and to hear you talking about curling irons,
this has to be.
It's just a little. It's. I don't know. Whatever works for you. So you feeling better though? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. Yeah, I'm gonna be coughing a little bit every now and then. I got a little cough rag. So
okay,
I'll keep it to myself.
I sure hope so. Being as we're in close proximity and all. But welcome everybody to the show. I hope you guys are having a wonderful night, and we are underway. You can't see it. Your camera's too low.
What? Well, I gotta be able to see.
You can see it on mine. It's right up there. There's the clown.
There.
There it is.
Okay,
yep.
so
just in case Lady Death's watching.
Because you got it. Well, not only that, but you got to help me keep an eye on it. I'm looking to our listeners saying, help me out, keep an eye on that thing so it doesn't do anything crazy.
No, I'm pretty sure it'll stay up on the wall. Not that we haven't had things fall off the wall before.
That's true.
But I think if that thing fell, it would actually shatter. And
I'd be more worried about somehow it twisting its nose and playing a tune.
Oh,
that would freak me out.
That'd be kind of cool. You should have wound it up more, and we could have rolled the dice on this. I like this kind of stuff, Don. That's why I do a show called The Paranormal Portal.
Oh, goodness. All right.
If I was not liking this stuff, I'd maybe do Don's Knitting Corner or something.
No.
Or Don's Beauty Tips with curling irons.
Don's beard beauty tips.
Don's beard maintenance and grooming.
So shout out to Lady Death for the clown, and she's in the chat now. Tell her, hang in there. She's almost through.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, our wonderful friend Lady Death just had a lot of surgery going on, and so she's in recovery, but she's a real trooper being here and helping to mod the channel.
Yep.
Gotta love her work ethic. That's pretty cool.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. So thank you, lady, for being here, and thank you all for being here. I am just loving the new faces and new presences here in the portal. It's been a lot of fun to meet and get these messages from you all, and it's really cool. I mean, it's just exploding around here.
Yep.
It's exploding, Don.
It's exploding.
So anyway, Don, today I got a call from my cousin in Michigan,
really?
And he shared with me.
Now is this, I'm sorry, is this the cousin that was having the experience and he? Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, and he had the black mass walk right by the window.
Right.
He had a bunch of weirdness going on. Well, he called me today and and he said, I got some more stories to tell you. And I'm like, really? What's been happening? And so he shared with me that they were at their house, and he's got one of the Roomba things, and they had company over and stuff, but he had a shoe that he has to put because the Roomba goes around and apparently gets stuck under his dishwasher all the time. So he puts a shoe there so it'll bump into that and then go and do other stuff. So, I mean, and those things are really cool, Donna. In fact, that's on my Christmas list if you're
Roomba?
wondering.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just throwing it out there.
Or a shoe. You're throwing a shoe.
No, I got shoes. I need a Roomba. I don't want to vacuum anymore. But
neither do I.
But he put the shoe there, and somebody remarked at him, going, "Oh, did your dog bring the shoe there and drop it?" He goes, "No, I put it there because the Roomba comes through and it hits the shoe and it bounces off. Otherwise, it gets stuck under there until it goes dead, and the floors don't get done." And okay. So then the other people went outside, and he was in the house alone. And then he joined them outside just for a couple minutes, came back in, and that shoe was in the center of the floor.
No way.
True story.
No way.
And then he's telling me that he was moving stuff out of the basement of their house, and he was telling me that he went down with an armful of stuff he was going to get stuff out of the basement. So he went down there and he noticed one of the lights was on. He's like, I know I was just down here earlier this morning. I shut every light off. This is not right, but there was a light on.
Huh.
And so he's like, well, whatever, he got his stuff and shut off all the lights or he had to turn on all the lights. He was going to do a couple loads. So he grabbed one armful, went up and came down. The lights are on. And he grabbed another armful, but this one was too much. He tried over and over to get the lights shut off, but couldn't. So he's like, oh, man, I got to come back down and shut the lights off. So he went upstairs and got rid of the stuff that he was carrying, turned around and went right back down the stairs, and all the lights in the basement were off.
Jeez.
Jeez. Now, that's a helpful presence, though, right? That's a good thing. Yeah, but
the problem is shadows hide in the dark.
They do, but, I'm just, usually I really believe that we all have that sense. We all have that ability to pick up on vibes. And if something really dark is around, you're going to feel it. I mean, you're going to feel it. Although some people get just freaked out from paranormal and it all feels dark. But you know what I'm saying. And my cousin's been dealing with this, most of his life. So he's not new to the party, so to speak. But he told me that story. And then he said he was out in his shed outside. And he's got this sliding door in his shed.
Right.
And he said, you really got to, kind of lean into it. It takes a little bit of elbow grease to shut it. And so he's out in the shed and he heard this noise and he turned and his shed door was closing. And he said right when it got to the very end, it slammed.
Oh, jeez. Said, this is how you do it. Don't leave my doors open. Born in a barn?
Now, he did tell me that that's exactly right. He believes there's the spirit of an old man that used to live there. And the thing is one night he was
man cave.
Yeah, well, he actually had his workshop in the basement.
Oh.
And so that's, was always a place that he was known to go and hang out for, entire days working on things. He loved his workshop. And so the fact that he was down there doing the lights didn't surprise anybody. But my cousin said everybody had gone to bed one night and he was turning off the light in the living room, and it has a pull string. It's like one of the ceiling fan things, and he had a pull string to turn off the light. And he turned off the light, and in that moment that the room just went black, he saw this silhouette pass him, but there was still enough light from the other room that he could see the flannel shirt and everything, and the old bald head walk by him. So he actually saw it. So very cool experience.
So this is something different than the other thing. This is more of a benign spirit.
Well, I think there's both that in that area. Now, I don't think the real dark thing is inside. I think the old man kind of keeps that sacred. I think the old man acts as a guardian spirit, like it was his house, and he's defending it. That's his place, and so he keeps the darkness stuff outside, and that comes up an awful lot in paranormal. That there'll be like one spirit that will keep the house sacred and keep all the darkness out. But he did say, however, that he saw a shadow pass through his living room and go into the other room.
Wow.
And his wife had seen that prior.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, yeah, I saw it myself, and so maybe the dark thing's getting its way in. I don't know.
Wow.
But really weird situation. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because, of course, I shared the other stories that he had shared with me prior to this, and that was of the black shadow going past and all kinds of freakiness out there. So it seems to still be a part of their lives out there.
Wow. Yeah, no doubt. Well, Deb said there was one that they didn't mind being there before. So
right, that was the old man.
Now they've actually seen him.
Gotcha. No. The child had seen it before.
Right.
Because the child, by child I mean he's like 18 years old. So, but he's a very sensitive kid and picks up on that stuff. So he had already been aware of it and aware of many different presences, including a Native American spirit he saw outside staring at him. So he said it was in the full dress and everything.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So, and then it just disappeared. So he's had experience with that. But yeah, true stories, guys. So I just thought it'd be fun to share. But we also tonight have some listener mails that I want to get through, and I've been holding on to them for a while because I'm waiting for a good night when we're connected to the network and have everything going here. So let's get to some of those, shall we, Don?
Emails. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, we need our own segment, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Some kind of cool theme song to kick in right there. But until then, we're going ghetto here on the portal, so we'll just have Don hum it again.
Bum, bum, bum.
Thanks, Don.
There you are.
Well, thank you very much.
I think you do it better, though.
Maybe I do. I don't know. But the first one I want to read to you tonight is from a listener who goes by the name of Gene. And I don't recall. Yeah, he didn't say if you want to be identified or not. So he said, I've been seeing the shadowy world since I was a kid.
Wow.
It started out with the Hat Man, and doctors told me it was night terrors, but I wasn't asleep when it was happening. He scared the absolute hell out of me. That's not exactly the word he used, but I'm going to go with that. Jumping forward into my adulthood, I've seen the shadow world. I've seen shadow giants and shadow horses and buggies. The difference with the shadow people I see now is that, God, my eyes are just terrible tonight, is that it didn't instill the fear the Hat Man used to do in me. I only just realized I might be as crazy as the doctors say. I'm sorry if this is hard to read. I'm mentally disabled, and it's hard for me to type and even harder to talk on the phone, but I just wanted to reach out and say thank you. I'm working on making more concise memories from first-person view, and it's taken a while, but I'll send them as soon as I get some of my memories down on the computer. That's brilliant, Gene. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I appreciate it. I really do. It sounds like, while you may have some form of disability, it sounds like to me that you're sensitive and that you have quite an ability with sight. And I think that may be something you might want to develop. And if that is the case, if you'd like some assistance, we have several psychics that are involved with the show on some level or another. And I'm sure they'd be happy to help you with maybe some exercises that you could use to work on developing that sight. But it's, it sounds to me like you're plenty gifted. So definitely share them if they come up, or if you can get them written down. I will love to read them on the show. But thank you so much for sharing. And That's phenomenal. Very cool. I've you hear stories about, the shadowy ghost carriages going by and,
Right.
like an echo from another time.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that, he's definitely seen something. Very cool, though. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. He mentioned the Hat Man. And
Oh,
we hear a lot about how malevolent they feel when you feel them or
yeah.
you're near them, and the sense you get from them. And anytime I don't like malign things, things
Yeah.
that are not good for you. So just thinking about how badly people are affected by them, and at least these other things are more I don't know, maybe stone tape kind of thing,
Oh, residual.
memory
Yeah.
residual, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those and those are neat stories though. I just absolutely love them.
They are. They're really cool. And the nice thing is that these are first person accounts. When we get
Right.
them from listeners, it's not like we're getting, oh, I heard this one story one time, that, and then fill in the blank. These are the people that are experiencing it. So to me, those are much more incredible and credible as well, because it's not being deciphered by three different people first.
Right. Right.
So very cool. Yeah. Now another one we got. Let me get to another one here. I got to unstar that one so I know I've read it. Now we got a series of them from a listener, a longtime listener to the show. And I'm going to go through these one by one. Really cool. I'm going to blow it up if I can, though, because my eyes are just sketchy tonight, Don.
Yeah, I can barely read them too. Of course, I can't see straight lines anyhow, so who knows?
You just got to use a curling iron, Don.
Apparently so. Just apply heat.
Just
You'll
a
be okay.
curling iron will take care of it, just like your beard. All right, the first one she sent was, when I was 17 years old, my distant aunt took and invited me and my sister to a vacation with her in Corpus Christi, Texas, at a nice hotel off the beach. It's many stories up to our room shared with our aunt and her son, who is just a little younger than my sis, who is 2 years younger than me. So you can get the idea of our ages. We decided for fun to feed the seagulls off the balcony some hot dogs and tearing them up and throwing them into the air, and we would watch the birds dive around swarming just to catch their treat. We'd been doing this for a while, and I reach into the package, grabbing a hot dog, when a large shadow swooped down from out of the clouds. It was very fast, appearing out of nowhere, but elegant in its swooping down to take my whole hand into its beak. Oh my God.
Wow.
When I realized my hand went into this large bird's beak, I started to scream out and in reflex pulled my hand out, leaving the hot dog behind for it to swallow whole. It was a very close and up close and personal experience of seeing this large holes in the huge beak up close. This bird was massive in size, and its body larger than mine of 5'7" and its wingspan was even larger. All the while with a long neck and black feathers underneath it, but not in any pattern. It was like they were stuck in there and in here and there and underneath, but mainly it was white in color. I thought the black feathers made it look ugly, and it took off as fast just as I slapped back and screamed to join my sis and Jeffrey, our aunt's son, who were backed up against the sliding glass door, holding at their hearts in fear and screaming at the top of their lungs. I did the same thing, and then we couldn't get out of there quick enough, for we feared for our lives. There was a Thunderbird, no doubt about it, and I could easily have taken me over the balcony by force. I just wanted to make people aware that these large birds do exist, and I wasn't alone in seeing this. Interesting thing is that recently I read up on native myths of large thunderbirds, and interestingly enough, they have different colors seen in different areas, like north, south, east, and west. The one from the south is also said to be white, and I felt that this was too much of a coincidence, and that what I had seen in Texas was large and white. Most thunderbirds I hear about are black with a white ring around its neck, and hints sometimes of red on its head. I really wanted to get this out before talking more about my remote viewing experiences. Thanks for listening. Now, some of you may think, well, it had her hand in the mouth. If it was really a Thunderbird, it would have bit it off. Let me tell you, I went to a raptor center, and they talked about the eagles, and the guy had a huge eagle on his arm, and he said, their mouths are not powerful, and he put his finger right in there, and the big eagle was chomping on his finger, but he had no problem. He said where their force comes from is the hook on their beak and the power of their legs. So they tear into it they put their beak down and then pull back with their legs, and that's how they remove chunks of flesh. It's not because they have a bite force.
Right.
So the fact that her hand was in this mouth and she was able to pull it free does not surprise me at all, even on a much, much larger bird like that. So because these giant raptors, they don't have mouth strength.
Right.
They're not known for bite force. They're known for their
ripping and tearing.
Right, using their talons and tearing and pulling with their sharp, pointed beaks.
Right. And that's a lot, and that's a lot also with dogs, though, because a dog doesn't just bite you. Because a dog's bite, a lot of dogs, some dogs do have enough to actually bite through the skin, but really what goes through the skin is when they back up and they rear, or they'll shake their head. That's what tears. That's what causes the vicious bites.
Well, yeah.
But a bite by a dog is nothing, actually.
I don't know if I agree with that, though, because...
Well, I've had some pretty powerful dogs in my life, and I've been bit by some pretty powerful dogs.
I've been bit by a German Shepherd and a Rottweiler, and I'm here to tell you, it hurt like hell.
Yeah, but did he shake, and did he...
Oh, no. It was just a clamp, but...
Right.
I used to work really closely with the canine unit on the police force.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he was talking about, he had a Rottweiler, and actually that's the one that bit me.
Oh.
And he said that they had to develop a special arm wrap because he could bite through the protective layers on most of the other ones. But Rottweilers' heads are literally like basketball wide, all muscle.
Well, now notice I did say most.
Right.
There are some that.
Yeah.
But most dogs rely on the
shaking
legs,
motion,
the shaking, the legs, because they'll jerk. They'll bite on it, jerk back and forth.
Oh, sure, that
trying
tears.
To rip that apart. Yeah. But anyhow, no. I mean that makes perfect sense because about the bird, because like the harpy eagle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing's scary looking. But it doesn't have a beak. Well, it does have a beak. It has more of a pointed beak though than the raptor beak. And that's made for cutting and tearing. It's like a can opener. Where you little triangle and then you turn out the other one. That's exactly what they are. And there's no force there. But yeah, I can certainly buy into that. But yeah, I mean, a big bird like that's got your hand down its throat, it's scary. I'll give you that.
Right.
you know?
I mean, God, depending on the size of the bird, and now she was younger, but still 5'7" tall. So
right.
I don't know how tall she got to at the end of it, but I mean, she was clearly in her teen years, right? Didn't it sound like?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But you should never habituate seagulls. Oh, God, they're nasty creatures.
Yeah, well, they're good at cleaning stuff up, but they're also good at leaving stuff behind. So. Yeah. All right, the next one from her is let's see. Okay, so this one is not intended for kids to hear, at least part of it. But let me just glance through this quick and make sure I got it right. Okay, so let's see. She's talking about the remote viewing experiences. Its story is about picking up as a sensitive. One day I was over at a neighbor's house barbecuing when her next door neighbor came over to socialize. We talked for a few hours, just enough time to get to know him a little bit, and Thanksgiving was in a few days, and he talked about eating over at the next door neighbor's house. Things started to get weird for me, getting these sensations of swelling up and something plucking at my eyes and sharp pain in my tongue, and these sensations intensified after a couple of days. And I was told it must be a haunting because of the physical attacks, which is what it appeared to be. sprinkled salt around the place of the entrance. Holy water as well was used, and smoked the place with a juniper bundle while I asked whatever it was to leave. And it didn't get any better, but actually worse. It was about 2 days after Thanksgiving when my neighbor next door asked if I had seen him, because he never showed up for Thanksgiving, and no one, including my family, has seen him since the barbecue. Around a week later, my friends at the barbecue pounded on my door and said they had gotten a chair and looked into his window to see if he was at home, even though he wasn't answering his door, and he was home, laying on the couch still watching television, but he had died. Now, this is the maybe more graphic part, and it says, what I experienced was the sensation of what his body was going through after death. Once he was found, these sensations disappeared. It wasn't a haunting at all. It was me being a sensitive, picking things up. I've done this again, only it was a very freaky thing that had happened. I was talking to the father of my child, and this speedy figure on a fast mode came through the door. His face ripped open and went to my knees, freaking out as his face went into a figure melting down like a burn. Later, he got in a motorcycle accident and shortly after passed away. But there was damage to his face done from what I had heard. This speedy figure that came so fast, it left as quickly, and his face went back to normal. I don't know what these speedy figures are, but they are fast, or what it has to do with what I had picked up seeing with his face. It was a freaky experience. I'm trying to keep the graphics down because this is a family sharing place. So we'll be back with more listener mail when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away, because the Paranormal Portal is just revving up.
your protection from deception.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second half hour of our show tonight. This is the Paranormal Portal, and I am Brent Thomas, and I hope you're enjoying yourself. We're just trying to get the moon working. The moon is, I don't know if it's, I just replaced the batteries, but it's still not turning on, so dang moon. But, maybe I got one of the batteries in backwards or something stupid, too. That's always a possibility, ladies and gentlemen. I've been known to screw up some really good mechanics in no time at all, but we'll see. Don's checking the remote right now. I got other batteries too, Don. Let me go through the portal desk here.
Don's fighting the remote right now.
Is that screw?
Yeah,
it's one of those. I gotta here. Hold on. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Gotta dig out the leather man.
Oh. What good Idaho boy doesn't have one?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're definitely mountain men up here. Not that I ever get to the mountains too much, but I can see them from here.
I live closer.
That you do. But all right, we're going through some listener mails right off the bat here, ladies and gentlemen. And I got another one here. Let's see. What's this? Oh, yeah. This one was another one from the same listener now. Let's see. I think this is right. Okay. Yep. Okay. So the barbecue friends were managers not long ago during that time, which was years ago, used to have their sister living with them, helping to clean out move-outs of the rooms. Move-outs the rooms. Okay. Right. She one day saw what she called the devil and unfortunately never got a description. She since then has never been the same, and this was at Red Carpet Inn, where the tree went down and the wires, etc., and now she sees and hears things that are not there, and got them kicked out as managers. And when they started turning off the power to whole apartment complex, thinking it would stop the devil from spying on them, she had to be medicated. When they heard what I'd seen, they gravitated toward me and befriended me, and we had cookouts for years until the wife I showed evidence to, a cryptic, it says a cryptic, I think she means cryptid, to on video, committed suicide jumping off the Aurora Bridge. So I don't go around proving things to people anymore. The reason that the rest of it I can't read because that's private information. Okay. All right, so let's get to the next one. And this one, let me do this. Okay, so this one, okay.
Cryptic sightings.
Yes, yep, cryptic. Yeah, it says cryptic sightings. Then it could be cryptic because she says in here, I told you about being saved by an invisible man that I called the Predator because the movie had come out years later, resembled what I'd actually seen. I was in a park across from where I lived and was with a friend. Too young at the time for a boyfriend, but he was a boy. We were talking and playing on the merry-go-round, and the topic came up of what would you do if a dog was chasing you to do harm? I was around 7 at the time, and he was saying something like, don't run. He had to go home shortly afterwards, and I stayed for a little bit longer when I heard the pack of dogs barking, and I went straight to trying to run home. They had crossed that distance from the start of the park to the middle, which was where they cut me off at. Circling around me, I had a German Shepherd lunging at my throat, trying to take me down, while the other dog circled trying to bite at my ankles, and another dog tried to bite my stomach. Dodging these attacks, I don't know how, the third lunge from the biggest being the German Shepherd, and it was held back suddenly by the Predator Man figure that was see-through. It looked like hot waves, and I could see its outline. I pulled the dog back and nearly broke it pulled the dog back and nearly broke its back. Whimpering, it ran off, and the other dogs followed. I also didn't stick around, and a couple of days later met my boyfriend in the park and found out what the dogs had been attacking before, chasing me, had been my friend. It was terrible. Even today, I can honestly say that was the worst attack she's ever seen. His whole head was sewn up and shaved. I don't know if he was out of the woods yet because it was so swollen, and I didn't see him after that, but he seemed to be fine to come and talk with me and show it off. Gross. She says gross. I, over the years, put that memory of the Predator on the back burner and never spoke of it, but as the Predator saved me, the boy felt I had saved him. Now, that is pretty cool, though, this whole idea of... these invisible beings. Now, there is a video out on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, and it's kind of an odd video because it kind of is. I think it comes off as like found footage, like somebody found the camera,
right,
kind of thing, and that always kind of puts me at like, well, that sounds like a great setup for
right,
a hoax. But they do show two people going through the wilderness and seeing these weird predator-looking figures, for lack of a better term, and really, that's the way they came across in this video. And then they see it, and then they lose it, and then they see it, and then they lose it, and then they finally are running and screaming, and that's kind of where it cuts off. But excuse me, I'm sorry, I got froggy. Hold on,
he got froggy.
Ribbit. But that isn't. It isn't an unknown kind of phenomenon. Now, I do believe very strongly that spirits can choose to manifest however they want to. They can be invisible, or they can be a shadow, or they can be fully manifest before you, but it's more a virtue of how much energy it takes to do that, I think. I don't know. I don't understand the mechanics of it completely, and I don't know if anybody does. I'm sure there's a lot of theories out there, but a lot of people seem to believe it depends on, the amount of energy they have to expend. If there's a source of ambient EM field around them, then maybe they can, draw from that in order to manifest. In fact, that's a big theory behind what happens with a lot of the ghost shows, is they bring in things like EM pumps to try to fill the air with energy, so the spirits have an expendable source of energy they can use in order to provide proof.
That sounds really bad.
It's been done. Ghost Adventures does it. I think just about all of them did it at one point, but I think that whole theory's kind of gone away because they don't see them showcasing that kind of stuff anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know if, it's one of those things, and that's probably, part of the problem, but it's a lot of people that don't really know quite sure what's going on, but they're throwing theories at it, and there's people to make these equipments to try. And I think that's cool because, quite honestly, there's no real research going on in these things. If it wasn't for the enthusiasts, there'd be none or very little. Nobody's expending resources to try to sort out what the spirit world is and what people are experiencing when they're seeing ghosts, and what does that energy mean, and is it really our deceased loved ones? And to me, it's such an incredibly profound field that you'd think it would get a lot more rigorous scientific testing and attention, but it doesn't. It's just become, in many circles, it's become the punchline. Like, oh, you see that Jimmy over there? He believes in ghosts. It's like, one of those.
Ectoplasm.
And, he got ectoplasm in his brain. No, it's unfortunate, but the problem is that there are so many different witnesses to this kind of activity This isn't just people, and I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm just bringing up a common stereotype. So don't get offended. But it's not people living in trailer parks with tinfoil hats that are only having these experiences. It doesn't seem to matter who you are or what your station in life is. If the paranormal is going to show itself, it's going to show itself.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that don't want to have these experiences that have had them, and they just want to forget about them, but they can't, and so it's just part of the game, I guess. But I would love to see a lot, like some real studies done to this effect.
Right.
I really would. I think that we could learn so much, if only to understand the energetic dynamics of our universe better. I think Tesla, if he had more time, probably could have dialed all this stuff in. That guy was just amazing. And I think he did probably have a lot probably recorded about this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I don't know, man, my Letterman is stiff.
You need some WD-40.
I do. I got some too. So I'll have to lube it up later.
The miracle lube.
So that was a great story. And there's more to it. So let me get to that. But I think that whole, predator kind of thing, it's not unheard of. It's brought up every once in a while. You hear these stories of mostly translucent, wave, looks like a heat wave, but it's encased in a physical form of a person. And I think that's what she was experiencing. Excuse me. Strangely, years later as an adult, talking with my older brother, discovered we had both had an encounter with a large cat in the forest at my grandparents' house at a really young age. What is weird, when I told my brother of this memory, he said I'd forgotten about it, and how could you remember this? You were only 2 years old. So I told him I remember you betting you could pick up this large cat, and I won the bet. We also didn't tell our parents because we weren't supposed to be going into the woods alone. But my big brother, only 5 years old at the time, stuck out his chest and thought himself my big protector, and we went on our adventure into the woods and came across a large black cat with a long tail and white whiskers, and the only thing about this cat was huge. And my brother is unusually tall even for his age at that time. The cat had went to cleaning us and holding us down, purring, and tried to take off with me a few times, and my brother handled it, got its paws on its shoulders while its hind legs touched the ground. And I bet he could pick the whole thing up, and when he tried, it was too big. And the cat cleaned his ears, licked him across the face, and then took off into the woods. You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Oh, goodness. Well.
I'm sorry you're not feeling real well. But my mom contacted about this three-way phone line, and she thought, they had bobcats nearby. But this was no bobcat. It could have been a Maine Coon, which get also to that size, but thought it coincidence that they live in Michigan, where this large black cats have been sighted. What?
Take me off the camera for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Goodness.
I'm going to mute you as well. So, very cool. Months apart from the Thunderbird sighting, in my late teens, around 17 years old, I was out back with my sister and our friend at her swimming pool, and we had decided to watch while floating on our backs the meteor shower at nighttime. This was in San Antonio, Texas, and noticed these 4 hover lights felt were stars. I said there was a Big Dipper, and Shelly was, no, this is the Big Dipper, and with the handle and the Small Dipper. And I was like, well, then what is this? And they moved. 2 went together, left, and the other 2 went right. At the same time, in unison, 2 stayed together. Then in a blink of an eye, those lights disappeared. I asked my mom if she ever seen a UFO before, and she said yes, when I was young in a car and we had one follow us. That was the extent of this conversation and was dropped. It wasn't until the 90s, while I was heading home with my boyfriend from work, and I was in my early 20s at the time, and we got to the Renton Boeing area, and the car started to shake like bad gas and twisted metal. Then the dashboard lights went off, and he couldn't see the speed or anything, so he started to pull over to the side of the road, and that is when I saw this large, round, light-covered light hovering, and it took off horizontal and disappeared. Then our car returned to normal, and the dashboard came on. The car returned to running normal. Nothing ever happened to the car again running that way. Our friends gave us a really hard time about this, joking about missing time and such, but or marks left behind that we didn't notice or any of that. And I'll write more about even closer encounters of recent. Thanks for listening. Well, thank you for sharing. I think these things are absolutely fascinating. Anything is possible. It's all on the table. It's all out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool. And ladies and gentlemen, this is another listener mail, but this is from our very own Julia, who's Black Tree in the chat room. She's moderating in our YouTube chat.
Yes.
And my God, that's a huge picture.
She says I have parapox.
Parapox.
Yeah, she said I have parapox.
Are you ready to be on camera?
Sure. If you don't mind me tearing up over here going, oh, my God.
We're emotional.
I know. It's horrible.
Okay, I'm going to show these pictures. Now, we don't necessarily know or believe that these are...
No, there's one that that one.
Oh.
Don't show that one.
Don't?
Yeah, she doesn't want... Yeah, so you get... Oh,
It's not on camera.
Unless you can,
I can't. I probably can't. So I'll just keep that one off. But is there anything below it?
Nope, that's the last one.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's show these. And they're really big, so they're not all going to fit on the frame at the same time. But I'll scroll through them. But they're really cool. I don't know. They're probably somebody's hobby shelter or something, but they are really interesting. And we don't know for sure what they are. But she was in an area that's often frequented by people that like to hang out and smoke things. So let's have a look at it, though. So this is what she found. But it's very cool. And now, again, the thing, it's very interesting. But they did kind of decorate it with pine cones.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know that, that would be done by any...
Maybe it's a mini Squatch.
It could be like a puckwudgie or something, right?
Oh, well, yeah, in that case, keep going out there, people who smoke weird things.
Keep traveling those woods, people. But yeah, it's a really cool little structure. It is really interesting. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything like, that would resemble tracks of any kind there. And Julie, you'll have to let us know, was there any kind of tracks around that were odd, or did it just look like normal footpath traffic with shoes?
Like little people.
Well, yeah, or littler.
Not you people.
Right.
The actual little people.
Right. We're talking about puckwudgies or of that nature.
Julia's only like 4'5".
I didn't know that.
She's a little person.
Aw.
She's a sweetie, but she's a little person.
She's an adorable. That's all there is to it. But yeah, it's really cool images, and I think that's exciting. Again, I don't pretend that it's for sure made by anything paranormal, but it is an interesting structure. It must have taken some time to get all those pine needles to hang out on the outside of that structure, right?
I would say so. And this has to be at least the season old too.
You think? Okay,
Yeah.
So it did make it over the winter. You thinking?
I think so. Yeah.
Which would have put it under considerable snow load, really. So it was pretty well made then.
Yeah, I think so.
I would have thought those pine needles would have been a lot more beaten down if it was from last year.
Well, it depends on the tree cover too. What
above
kind
it?
of kind of branches are above it? Is it being protected?
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, very cool.
Oh,
But
jeez, Brian. Duke.
what?
He says Les Stroud's summer cabin.
Les Stroud's summer cabin.
Oh, no.
Look, the skylight.
It's a Wookiee hut. No.
It's a small Wookiee.
Now this is only like it's around 5 foot tall.
Yeah, it's
So
really
it's not
pretty diminutive.
it's not huge. Yeah, it's not very big.
Now the area that it's around doesn't look truly too overgrown or anything,
Right.
but it doesn't look like it's in a normal kind of park though either, does it?
It's the area it's in is a pretty and this is why I don't think it's necessarily cryptid in
Okay.
a sense. is that the area it's in is a very popular swimming hole around here.
But it's not swimming season yet.
Well, but I mean,
Okay.
people would go down there, and I would imagine that, people who imbibe in natural resources, might put
People
things
who
like
enjoy the leaf.
the leaf.
Oh, we got a phone call too. Julia, thank you.
Oh.
She's on the ball. Unless it's her calling, then let's see what I can find here. Hold on a second.
Where is that call board?
I know I gotta find it. I got windows all over the place. I still got to get that extra monitor up.
Oh,
It is.
yeah, it is.
Hi, how you doing? You're on the air.
Hello, how are you guys?
We are wonderful. We're
good.
just looking at your images here, and was this area a pretty well traveled place, or was it a little more remote? What can you explain about this area?
It's kind of like a local spot. I mean, you wouldn't really randomly happen upon it unless you know where it's at. Locals know it as Odin Bay, and we weren't sure if we were going to go out there because when we first pulled up, it was snowy. But as we traveled on through the field, it wasn't snowy on the river. And that's put out, it's kind of on a shore. So there was water there, and we came upon that, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, But you guys talked about things, and it sounds gross, but there were a lot of dead things out there. There was one that was in the water that was maybe a deer. It was a whole skeletal thing.
Oh.
And then we found a lot of another skull there was another hut that was more man-made looking, like you could tell. I mean, I don't know whether it was Bigfoot or man, I didn't ask him. There was nobody around.
Sure.
But there was a skull on that one too, and we found a lot of dead birds.
Huh.
So.
Wow, that is pretty wild. I mean, they're really a cool find either way. I don't think it has to be paranormal, but it's definitely interesting. It could be Les Stroud. Maybe it's Les Stroud. Maybe Duke's right.
Oh man.
No, I don't know. Very cool though. And you found these when today?
Yeah. Yeah, we went out on an adventure today, and we tried to find somewhere to walk that wasn't so snowy, and we ended up walking around out there, and we found that one. And yeah, and I wanted to call in and let you guys know that I didn't find any footprints, but we did find some dead things. So
No, okay.
whatever
So
that means.
you didn't notice any kind of tracks near the entrances to these things either, then?
No, it was all, there's a lot of dogs out there, and a couple of other kids came by while we were playing on the shore, but I didn't see anything too strange,
Sure.
I wasn't really looking though either. I mean,
Right. No,
Did you find by any chance any hand rolled cigarette butts out there by any chance?
no, but like I said, there were a couple of other kids who came by, and I don't know, they were younger, and they went this way, and we were down by the water, and they didn't smell very funny, but you never know.
You smell hungry.
they're little puckwudgies. You thought they were kids. No, that's cool. Thank you so much for sharing those. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don, you need to get better.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually on the I'm on the downhill side of this. Now it's just clearing it out of the lungs.
Yeah.
But it does suck.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys get back to the show.
All right, my lady. Well, thank you so much for sending them in and being a part of the show as always. And thanks for all that modding you're doing out there.
Can I get some likes? I feel like I have to yell that.
You
Are
got
you
my
paying
like.
attention, people?
You got my like.
Julie is asking for likes. Those of you in the chat room on YouTube.
Show love by liking.
Yep. Show Julie all the
liking.
love.
Be a liking it.
All right, my lady. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Okay, bye.
Okay, see ya. Yeah. That's cool.
So,
I think that's fun.
so one of our chatters said, whatever built that is obviously triangular in shape, and therefore it'll narrow down the search parameters. Yeah.
Clever. Very clever. Yeah, it could be. We just need to know what triangular cryptids are out there. Duke, you got to help us with this. We're looking for the triangular cryptids.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Wow, okay.
So now you got one to read.
Oh, yeah, I do.
If you wouldn't mind.
I can certainly.
You can.
All right, so this came in from Barry. Now, Barry called in like a week ago, and we were just having a hard time hearing him. But he wrote this out. It's about Windigo. And it says here, a Windigo was once a human that is possessed by a foul being or spirit and turned into a tall, gaunt fiend. The remaining elders of previous generations frowned on talking about them, especially during the frigid cold season. For fearing that speaking its name might bring them close to town, a trapper or a warrior caught in a snowstorm. Hunger and cold sets in. As a man grows gaunt, he loses the sense from starvation, driven by a savage impulse and cold temperature. When a man slaughters and eats another, for he is beyond help and hope, he eats all the soft skin. Hands and forearms are disfigured from chew marks. Wow, this is really kind of gory. The swampy Cree elders of old say an encounter is fatal. You can't go near one. Really? Okay, I guess when we get back.
We'll have to pick that up on the other side. And then Duke also sent us a couple of amazing pictures that we're going to explore after the break as well, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned for more Paranormal Mayhem here on the Paranormal Portal with me, Brent Thomas, and my buddy, Don Longbeard. We'll be right back, everybody.
My buddy.
Censorship.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. Just make sure that you're well.
I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we are into the second hour here. Don, you're kind of dark over there, though.
Donnie Darko.
Just Donnie Darko.
Had to go there.
Well, you know, it's funny. I didn't even put that together in my head before you said that, but now it sounds like I'm just clever as hell. But honest to God, that was a total mistake.
Well, I'll give you creds.
Well,
I'll give you creds.
It was totally inadvertently. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show tonight. We've been going through a whole bunch of listener emails and experiences and such. And Don was actually in the midst of reading Barry's when we got cut off there. But we're going to finish that, and then we're going to go to a couple of images shared to us by Duke. Really wild images. So we'll get to that in just a second. But Don, you want to carry on?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to start here again. The swampy Cree elders of old say an encounter is fatal. You can't go near one of these things due to his monstrous strength and ferocity. His mere presence alone can make a person drop to the ground, shaking as you lose consciousness. When you see him from far away, only to think that it's a man walking, but when the beast draws closer, tendrils of fear and insanity claw their way in. Death soon follows. The nomadic fiends is most vicious during the wintertime. A warrior's courage, sanity, and strength leeches away as it draws nigh, for no man can overcome him. Many have died from fear, many fared worse. A village laid in ruins, a massive gaping hole in the wall of a lone log cabin. Only a shaman and medicine man skilled in the craft can overcome and vanquish the demon god. Others, such as he, continue to wander about. As the elders retain the knowledge of their existence, he cannot go where there's lightning, for he hates and fears bright lights that intrude in his domain, and bars his way from human flesh. From a great distance, the beast lobs heavy projectiles such as torn branches, a large chunk of ice, a part of a tree, crushing or killing its victims. It's been said that rending the flesh from one's body is a sign of the start of the transformation. Tufts of hair around the lipless maw, giving it a countenance terrifying to behold. A few remaining elders believe that the foul being would reappear during times of war and famine. A Sasquatch is a different being and separate from Wendigos. He's no sweetheart or a gentle giant of the woods. In fact, he'll eat humans when it's famished, just as vicious and terrifying as the Windigo. And that is from our friend Barry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's terrifying.
And that's from his. I think it was his grandfather shared that with him, and that's like tribal knowledge. That is really, really cool. It's good to have. I mean, I'm just honored when we hear things like that because, oftentimes as outsiders, it's not. We don't
get that information.
Yeah, we don't get that information.
It's verboten.
So I'm really honored, Barry. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was so cool. It's just really stunning to hear. And it's also really unnerving to hear.
Just scary as
I mean, no lips. And the part that's really disturbing is that how do you know? So it looks like a man coming at you. You don't know. It looks like a man. And then it gets close and it's got no lips and it wants to eat your head. You know, it's like, oh, I mean, I've seen that movie and it's not good. You know?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's just terrible. It's just terrible. And, you know, so you're out in the woods and something's chucking sticks. My immediate thought is, oh, Bigfoot's trying to, you know, razz me or whatever.
Right.
But what if it's a Wendigo and it wants to eat you? You know, it's just like,
Why do you gotta throw that out there?
right? I
Oh, my
know.
gosh.
Well, I mean, that's part of it though, right? It's the idea that the world is just teeming with these things that we can't quite comprehend, you know?
That sounds like a commercial I heard once.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like-
It must have been like the Paranormal Portal thing on TFR.
Well, I
or
mean
something,
but that's the premise for the whole show,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Is that, you know, we think in our hubris, we think we've got this all mapped out. It's all sorted. I mean, come on. You know, you mow your lawn, you pay your taxes, and you go to work and you have fun on the weekends, the end. And it's like, wait, there's a hell of a lot more out here. There's so much more that it makes you wonder if some people ever went outside ever. You know, when you start looking down these rabbit holes and you think, all this stuff's been around and, you know, and it's been, you know, delegated to, or what's the word I'm looking to? It's been referred to as a fantasy or delusion or whatever. I mean, that's a really convenient tag for people that are desperately trying to hang on to their paradigm. You know, it's like, don't threaten my paradigm. You're loony. You're one of them people.
You're one of them.
You know?
Yeah.
You're one of them funny people, you know?
You're funny in the head, aren't you? Kind of funny in the head.
Did your mom drop you as a baby? But, you know, it's just one of those things. But I think there is. I think there's just so many amazing things out there just waiting. And, you know, maybe some things are better left covered up, but I don't know. I still think it's just amazing.
So Duke says spiritual skinwalkers being a type of Wendigo, and a Bigfoot type Wendigo, two different things.
Exactly. Now I was also gonna get into that, but thanks, Duke. I appreciate that because that's something we covered when he was on the show. It's like there's the idea that there's this possessing spirit.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea that it's a tall, lanky cryptid with like antlers and you know, deer skull, and then there's the, you know, the other one, type 4 type, you know, that's just huge and just ferocious as hell. And I don't know, it's just crazy. I'm honestly, Barry, I'm not casting aspersions at you or your tribe's belief. I think that's cool. That's wonderful. It's amazing. It's just funny how these terms become, you know, bastardized over the years, and it's hard to know which one is which.
Right.
You know, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I honestly am not trying to be disrespectful at all. I have nothing but the utmost respect to the First Nations.
I think Barry's story talks more of the physical than the spiritual, because he talks about how it's a human being possessed by a foul spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a human being.
Right.
So it's the combination of the two. So it's mainly a spiritual that turns the person.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a demonic possession,
Right.
you know. And perhaps it's all in one and the same. Maybe they're all demonic possession. Really.
Now my question is do the spirits attack a specific type of person, or does it just take the weakest among the flock?
Or maybe it takes the strongest, but
maybe.
You know, the one that might be doing okay, but they're desperate, and you know, then it feeds on the weak ones. I don't know. It's horrible. It's horrible, dark stuff for sure. Now I got a couple images, as I was mentioned before, that were just sent by Duke over to the show, and I'm really excited to show you guys these. Just 2 images, but man, let me get the first one loaded up here. And this is, oh man, this is cool. This is really cool. All right, let me get it up on screen. In fact, I'm going to go full monitor on this one because I think that as much detail, the better. And this is the image, ladies and gentlemen. And you are looking at a cloaked figure. And I'll get to the next one so you can see.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Isn't that bizarre? Now, if you look at it, you can see the distortions around here. Look at it in front of that tree. That you can clearly see something's blocking there. And then it's up here.
Part of the tree missing right there.
Right. It's like a discoloration. And how somebody would catch this, I don't know. I would have missed this. I would have never even given this a notice because I wouldn't have seen it. But and this is one of those cases where I love the red lines.
Yeah, exactly.
The red lines totally bring you right into what to look for. Where are you looking? And, clearly when you see that reference and then you look back at the first picture, it's like, well, yeah, that's different. You can see that dark variation all the way over to here, into here, going down the trunk.
Right. I liked how it was smiling and it looked like it was giving me a thumbs up.
Hey, Paranormal Portal.
Hey, the only portal to go to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really cool, but incredible. I don't know how anybody would see that, but now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it.
I wonder if there's some story about why that picture was taken. Like maybe they heard something over there and they noticed something and they just they like click. Okay, let's look at that later.
And Duke, the phone line is open. If you want to give us
720-923
a little more of the backstory.
0500.
Now this, yeah, exactly. This is, I'm sure, something he's showcased on his. It's a Windigo recreation to you as well, Brent. Oh, okay. I love Duke. He's so awesome. He keeps feeding me things to make me sound better and better. Oh yeah. So this is the Type 4. Recreation of the Type 4. Let me get this saved. All right. So.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
That thing's scary.
That is horrid. And look at that menacing grin. Okay, you guys aren't going to believe this.
It was from a video someone saw and sent in, says Duke.
Oh, okay.
So they were taking a video and that was a still shot of it. Gotcha.
All right. So this is a Windigo. All right. Let's get to this one.
That's a Windigo Squatch then, is that right?
Yeah, Type 4.
Okay.
Yeah, as I understand it. Let's see. I might be really messing that up when I'm saying Type 4, but all right. So
that's okay. It was all campfire drinking anyhow.
That's true. That was a Wes Germer 3 Sheets in the Wind. All right, let's get to this one.
That's terrifying.
It really is. Oh, I was still on it, wasn't I? I thought I changed back. What did I just reveal to everybody?
I don't know. Let me go back a little here. But yeah, I don't think it was anything.
No, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it's just
actually
all my windows and stuff and emails.
Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Okay, so this is the thing Duke is referencing in the chat. Read what he said again, Don. So because of the TFR iHeart tune-in listeners.
Type 4 Squatch. It's a recreation of the one he saw at 40 feet. Oh. That thing was 40 feet from you. Is that what you're telling me?
And ladies and gentlemen, those of you on the iHeart tune-in TFR, what we're seeing is, think of a big Sasquatch face, but it's grinning. It has
That's a grin?
Well,
that's a menacing grin.
Well, right. It's an extraordinarily menacing grin with eyes that look like want to drill holes through your soul. And it's got these shark-like teeth. I mean, that looks like a great white grin.
He said that's at 2:00 in the afternoon. When he had that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to be absolutely horrifying. Ugh.
Yeah, he says it's a vicious grin. I said, well, it's certainly not a rictus grin. That's what I'd have.
He's kind of handsome.
He's a good looking guy.
In the right light.
Yeah. He just needs better lighting.
Yeah, and a toothbrush. Yeah.
Makeup.
That's just crazy. I'm just floored.
Look at those teeth, though. I mean,
I know. If you saw that, I mean, you just know.
Yeah.
Game over.
That's. I don't think I don't. Yeah, it's not grinning. No.
It's just letting the saliva out because it's drooling, thinking of the lunch meat.
Oh, that's his resting face. He says he's not grinning. It's the teeth.
It's the resting. That'll be the new slam, the resting Squatch face.
Oh no! Yeah. I was trying to think of something, but I was resting Squatch. You're suffering from resting Squatch face. Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, it's all on the table here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. All on the table. Very cool, brother. Thank you for sharing that. Oh,
wow.
That is way
40
creepy.
Feet.
That's way too close.
2 p.m.
I mean, it's so close that, as large as these things are, it's more like having a person at 10 feet because these things are so huge.
Know what? I probably wouldn't be attacked by it either because the stench I would be emitting at that point, it wouldn't want to come near me.
It'd be like Calvin Klein obsession to these things, Don. Apparently they stink.
Apparently, I'm going to be worse. I'm going to smell so bad that won't come near me. Just make sure I got fresh undies.
Yeah, well, you got that going for you. That is terribly terrible, though. Oh man, Duke, I just that's one of those situations.
He said it was northern Minnesota, 1972.
Yeah, this is when he was sliding.
So,
this is the story you shared.
Is that the sledding story?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's what he's referring to.
Hey, just to let you know,
in
February 1972, I was exactly 1 month old.
Really? Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a New Year's baby.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. All right, so that's really cool, though. Yeah, that's terribly, terribly frightening. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you look at. And now I was telling the story when I was on the Chronicles. I was like, I heard this growling behind me.
Right.
And I didn't see anything, ladies and gentlemen, but the power of that growl, it shook my whole body. And I'm from southern Minnesota, and the biggest thing we had in southern Minnesota was white-tailed deer.
White-tailed deer.
But,
those are pretty big white-tailed deer over there, too.
They're good-sized deer and all, but, this thing was right behind us, and it growled. And I just, honest to God, I thought I was going to die. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was big, and it was growling, so it wasn't happy to see me. And I just couldn't bring myself to turn around to see. And I'm kind of torn nowadays. I'm just like, well, maybe I should have glanced just to say that I'd seen one, but at the same time, it wasn't like a social kind of mood.
It's more of a get out or come here as opposed to, anything else.
Yeah. And Duke said it made him not want to go into the woods for a while. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, honest to God, okay, so the one part I didn't share about the story was that, after this happened, I didn't go into the woods for a long time because I didn't know what the hell was in these woods that I'd known my whole life. Something new was there that I'd never...
Changed, yeah.
Right, and everything changed. I was in the forest all the time as a kid. I loved it. But I couldn't go in there, and then you kind of grow out of it, and I became... I got my license and didn't really think about it, but when the movie Jurassic Park came out, and I did share this on the Sasquatch Chronicles, that growl the T-Rex makes is the closest thing I'd ever heard up to that point to mimic what this sound was. And it gave me absolute shivers and chills. And I sat in the movie theater. Now, after that experience, it brought back that flood of emotion and memories. And after that experience, I couldn't go back in the woods again. It was all back. It was all fresh again.
Right.
I just kind of put it in the back of my head because I had no way to qualify it. But then hearing that T-Rex, now I know it wasn't a T-Rex, but my God, it was just so big and resonant. And it shook me as much as I heard it. It shook. It was vibrating me.
Well, they say, that infrasound, regardless of whatever, whatever a Squatch may emit, but even just if you're talking about lions and tigers and bears, they're saying that low hertz frequency, you don't really hear it. It's the feel of it.
Wow.
It's the vibration that.
Sure.
It's that low vibration. We always talk about demons having low vibrations.
Yeah.
So it's that low hertz hum that you really feel.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people get sick when I was, doing the rave thing back, just a few years ago. But anyhow, a lot of people get sick when they're around massive bass waves.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean.
Yeah, there is that.
It's just crazy.
Well, yeah, and I didn't have a face-to-face kind of thing. So,
yeah.
I mean, all I had was a sound. So I feel much more for Duke. He saw this thing.
Yeah.
He saw it, and it was just right next to him.
I'm pretty much sure I know which would be worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think actually he was much younger as well. I was 14 when this happened to me, but I've not had a close encounter since then. But
not that kind of encounter.
No, not, I mean with a Sasquatch, of course. But yeah, really, really wild. So, we've gone through the stories. We've gone through the pictures.
Wow.
Again, I'm sorry for those of you on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live that we don't have the ability yet to show you images. But I know
it's
Chris Geo is in the works. He's got it in the
something.
works.
Yep.
He's making video a part of the TFR format,
right.
and I'm really excited for that to happen because without the ability to it just adds such a bigger level to the shows to be able to include that. When you're talking about visual references anyway,
Right.
you know, not that audio shows aren't great. They're fantastic. But I'm just saying, you know, when we're talking about images and stuff,
it's a pain in the butt.
You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
That's right. Yep.
So anyway, that's...
And my face has sunk 1,000 ships.
Yeah, good thing there's no shipping lanes near here, Don.
Thank God.
Yeah, we should be okay.
I should just drown in this bottle tonight.
Yeah.
It's the only thing helping. You know, I found that, I missed my jug the other night when I was in the satellite studio, the paranormal satellite studio. Because I just had my jar, but I missed my jug. My jug's making me feel much, much better.
All right. Sorry.
Thanks. Just start that up.
I just keep
Don's one-man jug band.
I keep picturing you sitting on an oak barrel, just
Jesus. I'll bring. I've got the gallon XXX bottle.
Do you really?
Type, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, with
that's awesome.
The crock with the white around it. Yeah.
To crack or something.
I have like
down.
3 or 4 of those.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those are just a bunch of wonderful emails. Thank you to those of you who sent in emails and sent in stories for us to share. It's really, really cool. I'm always honored to share those things. And again, they're really one of my favorite parts. But we got a call on the board, so let's get to our call here.
Well,
and this
how much
is
time
coming.
do we have left?
Let me check before we talk. Let's check. We got about 4 minutes before the last break, so we'll get to as far as we get, and then we'll continue on the other side of the break. But this is area code 480. You are on the air.
Hi, Brent. Hi, Don.
Hi,
This is
Jess.
Jess.
How you doing?
I hope you had your Jack Links. I hope you guys had your Jack Links jerky at that point.
I felt like Jack Link's jerky at that point, to be honest with you.
for the Sasquatch.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
You encountered when you were 14.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
But anyways, I did have a question for y'all.
Okay.
I was curious. What do you guys think about, as far as prophecies go, Nostradamus?
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I think that it's certainly interesting the things that he's predicted and how seemingly accurate it is. I think there's obviously two real schools about this, and that some people claim they were written so generally they could be inserted into so many different events. Now, I know that he predicted Atlantis would rise, and it was a lot of people thought it was going to be 87 when that happened. And then they said in the 90s, and
he predicted Hitler.
Yeah,
he
predicted Hister, and
yeah, Hister.
Yep.
So by one, he was off one letter. Yep.
Yeah, and that was really amazing, and I got to say that, the odds of him being so close and including the details of what this Hister would do, matching Adolf Hitler was it's really shocking, and it really lends a lot of credibility to it. I think. I think it's possible that he really was seeing something amazing, but I don't know. I've heard both sides of that, and I'm not really well versed in it myself enough to have my own opinion of it. So I don't know.
He was a physician, and he lost a lot of his family.
Yes,
and he got into like scrying and backwards letter writing. So
Sure.
that way the authorities couldn't catch him,
Oh,
like
sure.
Either the Inquisition or something like that. That's why his stuff was hidden for a long time.
Okay.
He was a fascinating guy, but incredible. He helped people, being a physician and all that.
Right. No, he was, and he was
As
obviously
well.
a very intelligent person. I used to know more about his process, and I've forgotten it over the years. Oh, Don can tell us. Please tell us, Don.
Well,
okay.
Part of what he did. So he did water scrying. He would put like black ink in water, and then he'd have it in this reflective bowl,
that's
and
what I
then
thought.
then he'd pipe up on nutmeg. Now nutmeg in small amounts tastes great, but in large amounts it'll actually make you hallucinate. Well, it'll send you into transcendic.
I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So I really have to question, but let me back up also and say, there's a lot of people who have done various types of, I don't know, well, like LSD and mushrooms,
Yeah,
things
drugs.
like that, peyote, you know, and they're very credible. So I don't mean to cast any, you know, any aspersions on that, because you know what, it does open you
Yeah.
up. I mean, I've taken LSD, I've ate mushrooms, I love mushrooms, but the only part I don't, the only part I don't like about that is when they actually mold before you dehydrate them. It causes some nausea. However, you know, I mean, but it opens up your consciousness to see or understand. So, you know, so maybe it was just part of his process to open his mind. But I know a lot of the things I've seen under influence of those kinds of things aren't real. You know, there are some things that just aren't real. You know, luckily on a
All right.
luckily so, but I mean, because there's clean LSD and then there's dirty LSD, and dirty LSD is when you have like the heavy visuals, the heavy auditories. The clean LSD, though, the clean side, which is the first parts of the batch of the LSD, when it's not been degraded with paper and debris and, you know, contaminants. It's actually
Take
more.
notes.
What's that? Oh, okay.
We're
Take notes.
We're going to hit the break, Jess, so just hold on the line and we'll get back to you
Okay.
on the other side.
Well, I'm going to be going back to work, so I'll
Okay.
talk to you guys later.
I'll just finish it and
All
you can
right.
listen later. Talk
All
to you
right, see
later.
ya.
Bye.
All right.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the last half hour of the portal tonight. Wow, it's been a great journey so far. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing good.
You feel that second wind or third wind or whatever the hell you're on?
Let's call it 5 and just let it go.
Fifth wind.
The fifth wind. I think it's this rose quartz you gave me earlier.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been over here rubbing it for power, energy. It was kind of
excellent,
bathing in its wondrousness.
Who's all here in the chat so far? We forgot to do the shout outs.
Yeah, we did. Let's see if we can get a big list this time.
That's fair.
Oh, I got a good one.
Did you? Go with yours, because mine's not that impressive.
Okay, well, right now we've got Aaron B. What's up, Drone? Bama Bigfoot, how are ya? Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Black Tree, of course. Shove, hey, how you doing? We got Ms. D. Swigger in here. Got a shout out. Love to her. Got Ms. Deb Varner. Don't forget Purple Mystic Readings. Yeah. Got Gentry. How you doing? Hacker. Got Jim with a small J, and then Mr. Jim Mount. Just a guy. Nice to see you in here. Mike Cool's here. Hi, Nadine. Yeah, I don't know who said it. I think it was Nadine, but poor Dawn keeps getting cut off by the brakes. I think that was her. The semi-normal portal, and the confessionals. Nice to see you. That is awesome.
I got also Digger Dog.
Oh,
and I got Christy Monster Truck Girl.
Oh yeah. Truth Hip Hop Consciousness in there as well. Cool. I didn't see Renee. Shout out to Renee.
Renee. All right. Well, we got a
Vader.
bunch.
Yeah,
and Lord Vader, if you only knew the power of the dark side. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are just thrilled that all of you guys are here.
Sorry.
Who's your daddy? That's all I'm saying. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we got 1/2 hour to go, Don.
That's it. Wow.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to finish up real quick about what I was saying about
Nostradamus. Yeah, please.
So,
sorry.
But I mean, throughout history, shaman and medicine men and all these different cultures have used some kind of something to transcend the human meat bag that we would drive around this reality. And I'm borrowing heavily from our friend Chris Gio. So, I mean, you have to be able to get outside of yourself and see things from a different point of view, which I believe these things can do. But, when you're writing prophecy, trying to, I give him credit in a lot of things that, there are some that are really, some of his predictions have really stuck out, and, seem very, very accurate to very specific things. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it could be possibly hoaxed if you could actually date the writings back to, that was 16th century. That was 1500s, 16 right in there. He lost his family to various things. He was a plague doctor. He was the one that walked around with the big snoot, the helmet on with the snoot. And then he got into scrying from there. But, he had a lot of life experience, and he knew how to get outside of his own consciousness. So I believe that some of it could be very well true, but I believe, I don't believe everything I see under the influence is real. So There you go.
Well, there you go. And that's fair. I don't pretend to know enough about it to have any kind of criticism or to be, a big believer of it. I just don't know. It's one of those things. I guess I've never been, even with Edgar Cayce, I've never been really big on the whole prophet thing, and not because I don't believe that there's something to it, but I don't know. I guess it's just never really resonated with me.
Right.
So it's not because I scoff at it or anything. It's just, it's kind of not my thing. I just think the world's and the future is too much a fluid thing, and I don't know. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, and whatever will be will be. Work on where you are.
Yeah,
is kind of my thing. But I don't pretend to preach either. I just don't. I don't know what to think about that kind of stuff. I think it's interesting with the Hitler correlation and talking about the whole Antichrist being born between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers, and there's a lot of predictions out there, and Atlantis did not rise, as far as I know.
I think we'd know by now.
Yeah, you'd think, but I'm just saying.
However, now
fake news and all, you never know.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about.
I mean, there's people in
true.
France running around crazy, and you don't hear about that. So,
you know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I mentioned mud floods and things like that on Wednesday's show.
Yes.
Now I was talking about the tip of the poles and all this kind of stuff, and how we had like maybe a mini ice age that created the mud floods and things like that, like 12 to 15,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after the ice age, things like that. So what if? Dang it! Oh, Atlantis. What if?
Oh, I was like, what happened?
I lost. I totally lost everything. Atlantis. What if, we are heading towards another one of these mini ice ages? Or
it's cough syrup in the jug.
It's all in the jug. Yes, there's a difference between portal swigs, which is this, and portal swags, which you can get on our Teespring.
Actually, we just got a sale, by the way.
Oh, did we?
We did.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
You will. I'm just trying to find who said they bought it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Hold on. I'm going to find it because it's very cool. And I'd love to showcase it.
Yeah, nice.
Who said it again?
So, I forgot what it was. But so with
Atlantis.
all this thing happening with Atlantis, maybe Atlantis, if what I kind of think happens is if the poles shift and even if it only goes to like east-west, north-south turns to east-west.
Right.
It's going to create, excellent. It's going to create water havoc. Everything's going to be weird again. Mm-hmm. And so, what if what happened is the poles shifted and Atlantis went down, and the poles shift again, Atlantis comes back up. See what I'm saying?
Maybe that's true. And Truth Hip Hop Consciousness, thank you so much for ordering a shirt. That's awesome. We really appreciate it. You're amazing.
We certainly do.
It'll help to put food on the portal table.
Oh, and of course, I kind of figured that it was going to be a black Paranormal Portal logo. So there you go. Excellent. Thank you.
Is there any better color for it?
No.
No.
Of course not.
Chrome looks kind of cool, though.
However, there is a white version out there available with black lettering if you want that.
And the yoga pants.
Oh, my God.
I love the yoga pants. Those look cool. I wish they came in for guys, I'm just saying.
This is moose knuckle. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I think I'm rocking more of a squirrel knuckle, but anyway.
Oh, wow.
You hear that? That's the toilet flushing, ladies and gentlemen, on our episode tonight. What the hell, a moose knuckle? What's
maybe
wrong with you? Why are you so broken? Oh my God.
Oh goodness. Don't start me up.
Oh God, no kidding.
No paranormal bikinis. No.
What do you mean? Why not?
Duke wants us to do paranormal bikinis. Because
we'll need a model, Duke.
I don't think that little triangle will hold a logo.
It's a pretty big logo for a little triangle of fabric, but we can maybe abbreviate it. But
oh wow.
Oh
yes. Truth Hip Hop. We know you've been around. We do appreciate you being here, and we do appreciate your support, pal.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. That's really cool.
A paranormal thong. A thong is paranormal.
I don't know where it went. It just disappeared.
You must be hungry.
No, Ken. We're not going to go further down the drain. What is wrong with you?
Oh, God. Now you guys broke Dawn.
Yeah, well, that doesn't always take too long, but...
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Put it on the back of what, Duke?
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's always fresh ideas on the Paranormal Portal marketing team here in the chat room.
Wow.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment here, ladies and gentlemen, but we have a lot of fun doing it. Oh, leave it to Ken. Yeah, Doc said it right in the TFR chat. Like, leave it to Ken. Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, how about a ghost story, Don?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Just a shout out to Doc Kayak. Haven't talked with you, bud. Nice to see you still with us, though.
Oh, he'll always be with us. He's one of those four-corner posts that keep holding everything up. Yeah,
that's a support.
He's big support.
Yep.
That he is. All right, I'm going to read. Sorry,
Are you
got
sure?
a froggy. Well, my plan was to, but I kind of went full pneumonia on you guys there.
He went full frog. Never go full frog.
There we go. I usually go half frog, but I went all the way this time. All right, so let me read you something fun. This one is a story coming out of Alabama. And it said it had been a slow week for our little ghost hunting group. And when one of our group members told us about this cabin that was really old that he and his family used to live in that was located in Jefferson County. He told us both of his great-grandparents had died inside the house. But after he talked to his mom about it, we found out 3 others had died in there as well. He continued to tell us about what would happen in the house, and he said one day he was home alone and had made himself a hamburger and left it to cool on the counter, and when he came back to get it, a bite had been taken out of it. Wow. Then he told us about the cold. Every room in the house was freezing, and as we found out the night we stayed there, it was roughly 10 at night when we finally made it to the cabin, and I stared at it for a moment, and then we realized the doors were locked, leaving yours truly with the task of climbing in through a window to unlock the doors. I stopped and looked around when I got there, and it was dark and quiet. It was too quiet. That what the hell happens next kind of quiet. I ran and unlocked the doors, and everyone else came in, and not much happened to begin with, but after we stepped outside for a few minutes to check stuff out, something did happen. We came back in and sat in the living room in a big circle with the lights out, and we tried talking to the spirits, but nothing was happening, and I decided to go and take another look at the kitchen, and which all of us had been in earlier, and all of us had left at the same exact time, and I came into the hallway and freeze. Every cabinet door stood wide open. Even the fridge stood wide open. Everyone came and checked it out, and we ruled out the possibility that it was one of us. Me and my... what the hell is that? Oh, Don. Do you know how much I miss you when you're not here? All right, me and the former member decided to stay in the kitchen and try to talk to whatever had opened up all the cupboards and fridge. And the other 4 members split into pairs of 2 and went into different rooms. And me and Sean stood there for a good 5 minutes with nothing happening until both Josh and Adam ran into the kitchen excitedly. They told us that the closet cabinet in the back room was rocking back and forth, and that the vase on top didn't move with it. They said that when it stopped, they tried to recreate it, but the vase moved and with it, and when they tried, so there was no way that could have happened. So we switched rooms, and me and Sean went to the back room, and we tried once again talking to it, saying stuff like, "If you're here, can you give us a sign of your presence?" Sure enough, we got a sign. We were standing about 4 feet away from the closet cabinet. The only light on it was the moon shining in the window next to it, and we hear a knock from the inside, and we're like, whoa. Suddenly, whatever knocked on it punched the inside so hard that the door actually flexed, as if being punched from the inside. We said some words that would make a sailor blush, and then we walked over there to find that there was nothing inside it at all. It was absolutely empty. Suddenly, from the living room, we heard Josh crying, so we ran to check on him, and he sat there, tears rolling down his face, as he told us that he could hear his great-grandfather talking to him. Wow, very cool. Yeah, it's one of those things, if you're going to look for it, you got to be prepared to find it. And that's the one thing that always kind of surprises me. So you watch these ghost shows, and they're like, we're going to go look for the ghost of, One-Leg Sally or whatever, and they go into these just dilapidated places, and they're spooky places, and then they run around yelling, they could do their thing, and then a bowl moves and they all run out screaming. It's like,
yeah, I know.
What are you doing there? I mean, what were you expecting to happen?
Oh no.
It's like, why run away? You're there to look for proof.
Right.
You get proof, and you run away screaming like you're running to the mystery machine or something. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Oh man, Mortimer.
Yeah. And I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for your snoopy kids and your nasty dog. Yeah.
You dumb dog too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's like, what are you ghost hunting for? If you're gonna run when something happens, why don't you just stay home and watch Ghost Adventures? It's much safer. I mean, really, I don't understand that at all. It's like, if you're going to go out there and do it, then, nut up and take care of business, I don't know how else to say it. And I don't mean to be crass or rude, but you're kind of there to see that kind of stuff. And if it happens and you freak, you probably got no business being there, And I realize it sounds really jerky, and I honestly don't mean it quite that way, but it's like, what did you expect exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
What was your whole plan here? Because that's why they call it ghost hunting or investigating. So anyway,
boy,
just my 2 cents on that deal. What do we got left for time? Let me see. We got about 9 minutes, so we got a time for a couple more. Anyway.
So D says Emperor's New Portalware 666. We were talking about the Emperor's New Clothes earlier, weren't we?
We were, D. That's a little spooky.
She's kind of spooky.
Nah, D's not spooky. She's wonderful.
Spooky.
She's awesome. We love you, D. You are part of the family, girl.
That is true.
Absolutely. So, walking around wearing the portal phone, Jim, with the web address on the back. What the hell is wrong with you? We're not making a portal thong, okay?
No. No.
I can't even. There's so many things. I have to use such self-restraint. I swear to God, I'd love to say about 50 things right now. But I have to just stick with...
She says, thank you. I love you too.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. All right, so this one is... Let's see where this is out of. It's just closing out the show, ladies and gentlemen. We just had a great journey, and I just want to close it with some spookiness.
Spooky.
Just so you can't go right to sleep after this. I want to try to keep you awake for a bit.
Oh, gracious.
This one's coming out of Indiana, ladies and gentlemen. Indiana. Hello there. Blah, blah, blah. Fluffy, worthless, blah, blah, blah.
Indiana. I better live up to this name.
Okay. All right, so here it is. This person's given some accounts that they had. Here's one for 16 years old. Here's one of the freakiest years of my life. I had written down and noticed a lot of these weird things happening, and I normally looked at my hand for guidance or inspiration. I had to go get baptized one night, and as I touched the holy water when I entered and winced because it felt like slightly burning feeling.
Ooh.
Jeez, that's not a good sign. I shrugged it off because our town's water isn't the best. Yeah, it's just...
They bless it to make the water taste better. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what they do.
That's right. It's just to make it more palatable. It was my turn to get my head dunked, and when in this small sink, and I get my head in, and suddenly it's just like what I felt like my forehead was on fire. I got up and had a headache, and in the morning after that night, I looked at my hands and noticed that the veins and arteries in my hands formed pentagrams.
What?
I was a bit freaked out by this, so I decided not to go to church because I was pretty sure they did something wrong. Yeah. Well, nowadays I enjoy the marks because people are creeped out a little, but take a nice look at the palm of the hand. Oh, they did have a picture. Let's see if I can show this. I don't see anything. Maybe, but it's not a good quality picture,
No,
so I'm not going to
it's
waste time
not
with
good,
it.
yeah.
I mean, that person may very well have these pentagrams, but the picture is really
Well,
fuzzy
it's
and
certainly
grainy.
not stigmata, that's for sure.
No. At 17-year-olds, I had nothing except I hear bangings, voices, and I'm starting to see shadows and stuff that's really not there. At 18-year-old, part 1. Here are the 2 most weird things that happened in my life. How long is this? Because we only have a few minutes. Let me look.
Well, if you only get through the next year.
Yeah, we'll get through at least part of this, but there's 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
6 minutes, 16 seconds left. There is, for ladies and gentlemen, for reference, there is an old ancient references that say that the number of the beast is actually 616. And I swear to God that's true. If you research it, it's not always referred to in the ancient books by 666. It is sometimes referred to as 616.
Duck Sauce asked, did the water come from Flint, Michigan?
Well, maybe. I don't know if it'll burn you, but it'll definitely, you can probably write in your notebook afterwards. Can I have some lead, please? This water tastes a little too pure. Can I have some lead? All right, 18-year-old. Here's the two most weird things that happened to me in my life. The first one happened about a week or so after my mom got me an airsoft gun, for fun, to play with. Well, I went to an anime club, which is at a friend's house, with the gun loaded up in a clip because I was going to show it off. And after we played and stuff, I was ready to leave. So I called my mom and asked her if she'd come get me and told her to call. And she told me to call and have my dad try. Well, I called my dad and he was asleep. I called my mom and I begged her to come get me, but she just said she couldn't. And the house wasn't too far so I could walk. It was fairly close by. I just don't like walking the streets at night. So I sighed, and me and my friends were talking about our strange experiences and such, and one made fake, evil, weird warding talismans and wanted me to take one. And I said, no, thank you. As I left, I put my airsoft gun in my pocket, and why I didn't know, it just felt like it'd make me feel safe. I don't know. Oh, the gun. Okay, I got it. That was kind of a abstract sentence there. And as I was about to get home, I was passing by a house I pass all the time, and I hear a dog growl and bark as this pure black, almost shadow dog, and it started towards me. I got under the street lamp and pulled out the ground. It says the ground. I don't know what that means. And it was going to attack me, and I shot the shadow dog with the airsoft gun, and that made it worse. So I unloaded the entire clip into the shadow dog, and I was yelling, screaming at the time too because I was absolutely scared. Suddenly the dog whimpered with the last shot and seemed to vanish. I ran like heck home, which is about 5 doors away, and I came back in the morning to find my pellets, all which were bright yellow, and there was no pellets on the ground or anywhere. And I asked the neighbors if they had heard an airsoft gun firing or a dog, and they all said no. From that night on, I carry a weapon of any type on me at night. Okay.
Because airsoft guns are so detrimental.
Well, they've been known to stop a speeding mosquito.
Hey, that thing will put an eye out.
You can take out houseflies at 30 feet. I don't know. I mean, they're fine and cool and all that, but I certainly wouldn't rely on it for defense.
No.
18-year-old part 2. About 2 to 3 weeks after the dog incident, my friends at Anime Club wanted to check out this grave at the cemetery, and when we got there, it just didn't feel right. We got there never stepping on the grass because it's rude, and I saw these 2 red lights and shadows running along the graves in the shapes of dogs. I whispered to my friends, we're being hunted. 2 lights, and my friends couldn't see them, and I said that I was making stuff up. Well, we went along the back and was going to head in, and there was 5 others plus me. 2 stayed behind, and there were 2 paths, left or right. I started down the left and felt really bad sick, so I yelled I was going to the right side. When I did, my friends turned around and say that I was still following them on the left path, and they couldn't see me on the right path. They said I have an I'm going to kill you kind of look on my face and walked towards them with presence. As I was walking on the right path, I didn't want to be alone, so I ran back to the left path, and the moment I started down the left path, the other me, which we all assumed was a shadow doppelganger, vanished. They asked me if I was following them, and I replied, no, I was on the right side and then came back just now. They just looked at each other as we left and got on the path to the main entrance. The 2 friends that were behind ran up laying that they peed on some grave back by the tree, and they heard a large howl like a werewolf-type howl. We all ran off, and that next morning I came carrying a bucket and sponge, and I cleaned the grave they talked about. I found that really disrespectful and yelled at them. None of my friends had ever seen me that mad. Okay, how are we doing for time?
Well, at least they didn't get sucked into the grave.
That's true. That only happens, apparently.
If your name's Cullen.
Yeah, if your name is Cullen, then you might get sucked into a grave. You'll have to refer to another episode. A woman was sucked into her parents' grave. It's terrible. But anyway, everybody, that's about it for the show tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this journey into the Paranormal Mayhem on the Paranormal Portal with Don and I. I'll be back tomorrow night with more of the bedtime stories. Don, anything in closing?
No, not really. Truth Hip Hop asked about the Samsung cases, and just to say it, all I know about the Samsung cases, they fit certain sizes of the Samsungs. It will tell you what, and then whatever else fits into that. Otherwise, good night.
Okay, everybody. Just want to let you know, upcoming next here on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live is Jimmy Jean, Into the Microcosm coming up. If you haven't heard the show, it's a great time. Jimmy Jean's a charismatic man with lots of knowledge just waiting for you. So we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and be sure to laugh as much as you can. Take care, everybody.
See ya.